Hi everyone, hope you're all well. This is a video to explain iSchool, and it's only going to be an outline video because over the next few months we're going to provide more details and guidance, in fact over the next few weeks. So this is just a heads up on what iSchool is going to be like and what we're going to do up until October half term. So up until October half term, the longer term plan is we're going to be filming our own lessons, and because we want our children to be able to feel like they belong to Robin Hood Mat, and so we want them to access our curriculum. But that won't come till after October half term because we've got to train people up in how to use Iris and all of that software. In the meantime, the children are going to be accessing who aren't in school, or if we go into some sort of classroom lockdowns, they're going to be accessing the Oak National Academy resources, and you can view those yourself by going on googling the national.academy, and you'll see all the resources there. But what we're going to be doing is a little bit different because it's going to be all directed through Google Classroom. So you'll get some training in the next few inset days on Google Classroom, and what you're going to see is that when your children come in, you're going to give them login details for Google Classroom. So every one of your kids will have login details. And when they log in, they'll see your class folder where you can post stuff. They'll also see iSchool. So they'll be able to see two folders. Now, with your class folder, what you'll be doing simply is every week we're going to ask you to put the resources from 2 lessons plus homework onto Google Classroom, even though your children might not need to access it. Now we're going to do that because we want to try and make it a habit in how you use Google Classroom, both for you and for the children. So sometimes we'll say, can you teach a lesson through Google Classroom? So you'll upload some resources and then you'll ask the children to access those resources through the Google Classroom. It's really straightforward. And what we know is that the more you do it, the better that the children will become with it. Okay, so don't worry if things don't work out to start with, or you have teething problems. We're all here to support. We've got people across all the schools who are there to help. So that'll be the first process, getting used to it. Now we think there are going to be some children whose parents don't send them in, or for whatever reason they're still shielding. Now that's where we'll be saying to those children, they have to log in via the iSchool. So they go into Google Classroom and they click on the iSchool folder. Now, through Faye Glendinning, who will be managing iSchool, and me, what we're going to be doing is we'll be directing those children to what lessons it is that they're following on what days. So you as a class teacher in that period, you don't need to do anything to do with iSchool, okay? And in terms of marking and things, you won't need to do anything initially with that either, because a lot of the Oak National Academy stuff, that's self-marking, and they go through the answers during the lesson with them. So you don't really need to worry about that. But we do still want you to keep on posting homework and stuff always through Google Classroom. So you see those kids that are still off, whilst they're accessing the National Academy resources, they can still go on and do the homework that you're setting for the children who are in the class. Now we think that's really important because it will increase the bond between the children. It will also give you an opportunity to mark some of the work for those kids around their homework and to keep tabs with them. So you can still send them messages, you can still build a relationship with them, but the iSchool will be taking the responsibility for directing work to them. So that'll take us to October half term. And there are going to be teething problems, and there's going to be a lot of positives, but I want you to go with us on this. The main thing is that we've got to accept where we're at, and then we've got to adapt. So as we move through the year, we become more proficient in this method. We've already tried Seesaw and lots of other things. So Google Classroom's really not a whole lot different. We've just got to build confidence in the system. So that will take us to October half term, which essentially is just a recap. If a child is off, or if a class go into lockdown, they'll access the Oak National Academy resources. We will direct them there. You can still interact with those children if you want to touch base with them and things, but essentially we're going to be using the national resources for that. After October half term, we're going to start recording maths and English lessons, and we will then be asking our children who aren't in school or in local lockdown to do the maths and English lessons via iSchool. Now that's going to be filmed across the mat, and what will happen is they'll be accessing those lessons one day in lag from when they were recorded, because then that gives us time to make sure that the lessons are okay and that there haven't been any technical issues. Now that's where it starts to get a little bit different, because we'll then be asking them to submit the work back to you as class teacher to mark that work for maths and English. And that won't increase your volume of marking, because essentially you're going to be marking the same amount of children's work every day as if everyone's in school. I mean, we'll go through that in more detail, but essentially what that means is that maths and English lessons will be delivered by the MAT to any child not in school from after October half term. And we'll test those out. We're going to put some really good protocols in place, and we've got a group of C2I team members who are going to be working with us on that from September all the way through to October half term. We're going to do things absolutely properly and make sure we do a really good job of it. Then when we get to Christmas, we should have built enough confidence in the system when we can then look and say, okay, so from January, not only are we going to record maths and English, but we're also going to now start recording curriculum, the wider curriculum. So we'll start recording topic, and we'll start sharing that with children. And over time also we're going to look at phonics and capturing all of those things. So essentially what we have is, by the time we finish the academic year, if you're a child and for whatever reason you're having a tough time and you're shielding, or a class goes into lockdown or whatever, you don't miss out. You get the same sort of learning and lessons as any other kid in the mat. And that's the most important thing to us, that those children are kept central and they feel like they belong in the mat. And that we're going to be working together with all of our teachers to get the best feedback and the best systems in place. So that's what we plan on doing. We think it's a really cutting edge approach, because the main thing is that, you know, if you're learning from home, it can be quite anonymous, I would imagine, and you can feel like you don't belong to an organisation or with your classmates. And we think iSchool is going to help with that, and we think that the children are going to feel a sense of belonging. But of course, we're going into the unknown with it. You know, as I sit here now, I'd be lying if I didn't say to you, I don't feel a certain amount of anxiety around iSchool, because it's change and because it's something we've never done before. Now, I find that really exciting. I also find it pretty daunting, if I'm honest with you. But I know that we were so successful in this mat, in how we operated during the most stressful period of any of our professional lives. And the reason we were so successful is because we united as a group of professionals. You know, when we were problem solving, we weren't problem solving with 1, 2, 3 minds. We were problem solving with 50 people, thinking about how we could get around an issue and how we could make things better for the children and the staff. Now, I know that with all of you supporting us for iSchool, I know that we can go in and do something that hasn't been done before. I also know that if we do it right, we're going to start to create a bank of resources that any child in the mat can use when they don't understand their work. Because you see, all of these lessons, they're going to be catalogued for children to access. So it might be that in the future we get a system up and running that even if the child is in school, but let's say they find a certain element of maths difficult, we can say to them, to their parents, they're finding maths difficult at the moment, why don't they go and watch lesson 4 of week beginning the 15th of September in maths. That covers that topic nicely. Watch that, that will help you, okay? So we think there are loads and loads of possibilities, but we're taking baby steps first. So the first thing is, can we direct children to the work we want them to do using Google Classroom and calling it iSchool, and we'll push them towards the Oak National Academy. So that's step 1. We test it out. Does it work? When that works and we figure that out, then what we then do is we start to record maths and English. So that's step 2. Can we record our own lessons and make a really good success of it and help the children feel like they belong? Once that works and we know that that's a good thing, then we do the topic and the wider curriculum. If that works, then we start to move on to phonics. If that works, then what we start to do is we start to catalogue those lessons and use them as a teaching resource for future generations of children. So there's lots and lots of steps to go through and heaps to jump through. But we're really confident that we can do it because we're ambitious and because we want what's best for our children and because we don't want to stand still. And as we know, the best thing when you're in situations of uncertainty is to take control of the situation. Now, we take control of the situation by running iSchool and by being really open-minded to it. And that's really where we're at. What we'll do now is over the next few weeks, we'll start to develop protocols. And when we've developed them, we'll share them with you and we'll ask for feedback. We've got a working party already of about 20 people who are going to be helping us with it, but we'll send them out to the wider staff so that you can get a feel for what these things are going to look like and feel. Okay, and I'll do some more videos and some help videos in terms of how Google Classroom and iSchool is going to work further. That provides more detail. But I think for now that's about as much as I want to say. And really, the final thought is, this quote up here really, which is, "It always seems impossible until it's done." Nelson Mandela. Absolutely great quote, and that is where we're at right now, because we will get through this and we'll get a really good system in place, and it will be because of sticking together and being truly ambitious. So thanks for your time, thanks for listening. Of course, if you have any questions and you want to get in touch, you can get in touch with me, staylor@robinhoodmap.co.uk, and you can also get in touch with Joe Pennell, jpennell@robinhoodmap.co.uk, and Faye Glendinning, fglendinning@robinhoodmap.co.uk. All three of us will be involved in the process, so you can get in touch with us with any feedback. We welcome anything. So thanks very much for your time.